Good day to you, Guyana, and welcome to another edition of Facing the Nation. I am Malika Ramsey. Thank you so very much for joining us this week. I know last week I wasn't here in person, but you still got Facing the Nation because we showed you the entire press conference of last week's post-cabinet press briefing, and it was very important to air that because it more or less focused on the efforts that Guyana continue to place in terms of helping our CARICOM brothers and sisters who have been unfortunately affected and ravaged by hurricanes. In this sense, both. At first, we were only dealing with Irma, but then Maria came after that. So I know you got an earful from both Minister of State Joseph Harmon and the Minister of Citizenship, of course, the Honorable Winston Felix, and they give you a fair idea of what Guyana has done so far. At least when the last time we spoke, Minister Felix was right here, and he spoke to you before the ministry took on its needs assessment trip to those countries. Again, that would have been before Hurricane Maria. So you did get an earful last week on all that's been happening, and I promise to continue to give you updates on how Guyana, and of course, by extension, the CDC and SIDEM and so on, will continue to help those countries. And I know by now most of you would have heard from your relatives and friends, but our prayers and thoughts are with them. And again, based on information coming from all of the sectors involved, the government of Guyana will continue to do all that it possibly can to ensure that our citizens in those countries remain safe and unharmed and so on. And at least in light of the situation, they are protected in whatever way that we can assist them. Today, however, it's a bittersweet program today because we cannot have this program, this discussion. It is Child Protection Week. We cannot have this program today and not think about, or at least touch on, the fact that we lost a 13-year-old Leonard Archibald. He was buried earlier this week. He was laid to rest early this week. He was raped and murdered, and it really is a horrible situation. I know the outrage on social media is so much, it's so thick, you can almost cut it with a knife, the outrage on social media. But I think we need to move beyond that, and one person who not only agrees, but her agency has been doing so much to ensure that we move beyond just a keyboard and social media outrage. She's the one who is on the ground. And I can tell you this because I attempted to tag her in something this morning, and I discovered that apparently she either doesn't have a Facebook page or she's not active because she's so busy on the ground trying to do the real work to ensure that our children are protected. And on that note, I'd like to welcome back to Facing the Nation the Director of the Child Care and Protection Agency, Miss Anne Greene. Welcome to you, ma'am.
Welcome.
All right, it's great to have you. Unfortunately, not on a very on a happy note. Even before we talk about, because Miss Greene would have been here the last time she came to Facing the Nation would have been sometime back in 2015. So even before we get updates and so on from her, I'd like your thoughts on this program, on what happened to 13-year-old Leonard Archibald.
All right, lots of things. But when we look at it, it could have been avoided.
Okay.
That's it. If there was a collective responsibility for children, for the protection of children, meaning every adult is a child protector.
Mm-hmm.
And protection starts in the family.
Okay.
All right, a lot we help families to let children know of the things to keep them safe.
Mm-hmm.
They certain, and you have to start talking with children very early to get them aware, and you also got to be very vigilant. Not that I'm blaming this family.
Understood.
Generally, things that you got to be vigilant. You must know at all times where young children are, where they're going, who they're playing with, and so on. So we encourage parents to do that. And then communities, they must be child-friendly and caring communities,
Mm-hmm.
and they must take a responsibility to the safety of a child.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, these are known predators of children. They're
Mm-hmm.
known, that's to say, based on the information that we're getting, they're
Mm-hmm.
known. And if that is the case, they should be supervised and monitored.
Okay.
And in fact, push to what I say to the criminal justice system.
Mm-hmm.
Things would have happened. The perpetrators there, they could have gotten assistance. Obviously, they're young too. Things might have happened in
Them.
daylight.
Mm-hmm.
So when you push to a system, it's helping them first. And then they have to be in a restricted environment until that
Where they
are
can't
that
bring harm.
So no harm to the children. So lots of things here. The community said they reported to the police, but it's still clear that today the police is launching an investigation to find out that, because the law says if the police receive a report of child abuse, they should call us. They should tell us.
Because
that's in the Protection of Children
in the protection.
Act.
Because
Yes.
I was coming to that now, because I know you are not the police, you're not the justice system, but in the event that I call and say, well, I know this person down the street is harassing, assaulting, unfortunately raping this child. What does your agency do?
We will get in. We will work with the police. So, and even if the police gets a report, they're supposed to let us know. So we could have been involved in it. Unfortunately, we don't have enough child protection officers that really there's a need. There's a child protection officer, as it stands now, is needed for every village. And somebody was telling me the other day, I'm going to have to get one for every street. It's quite impossible. That's quite impossible. So therefore, we have to have responsibility at certain levels. And the family is one level, the community is another level. And as I said, the community is our eyes and our ears. You have to tell us. If you hear something, you say something. You see something, you do something. And sometimes people say, well, you know what, I tell them. Quote unquote. But you have to keep reporting until you get action. Because again, our caseloads are so high to the number of child protection officers. So we get a report. Yes, we committed to responding to every report that we get, and we do. But it might not be how the community wants. Like some people tell me, and I say to them, you know, you call the fire engine and you go to the window and you look to see if it coming. The child protection officer might not come as fast as that. It's depending on what is reported. If you say a child next door ain't going to school, we might not come as fast as that. But when it comes to sexual abuse and children being left without carers and so on, yeah, we do respond. And it is 24-hour service that we have. We have a hotline. So sometimes people, you call and you keep calling. They're saying that the community is saying that it was reported to the police. But then again, I'm saying if a caring community and you got to stand there. They have the police got to take action. And then again, too, we're saying that families trying to keep the perpetrator away from the system and even getting involved in payoffs, that does not help. It does not even help the perpetrator. A perpetrator of such needs help. It needs help to understand what the perpetrator might have been a victim to at some point in time, and it's a behavior that is being, it become a vicious circle. So we need help. So reporting and staying with it and ensuring that get help, perhaps all of that was done might have been able to save this child.
Save the child. Viewers, of course, in these discussions, we can't name names or identify people, especially when we're dealing with children for the sake of protection. But Director Greene, have you had cases where in the past you have indeed had the police call and say, well, Ms. Greene, this is happening or this has been reported to us?
Yes, there's some stations, but there's still challenges to really get them
to work with you.
And in fact, for Child Protection Week right now, my officers are having a little training with the police because we want to change this. It's challenging, so it's going on right now. My officers at the police training center there, we're having some of the district police officers there, telling them we're trying to how we can closely work together to improve on this. Yes, they access it. Some police do call us. Some don't feel that they have to.
I am not saying that it is the agency's job to do this, but I'm just inquiring. Do you have a system whereby if it is allowed on in terms of your mandate and how you function, do you have a situation whereby you would have officers who would maybe check into police stations from time to time? Does it allow for that?
They have to do that every day, I tell them.
Without the police coming to them?
Yeah, you see, I was a caseworker and I used to just stop in at the police station just to say hello and find out what's happening. And I'm telling you, I work in a district as a young probation officer. I just cruise in for cruising's sake and touch base with the officers on the ground. You see, it's building the network, and this is what I try to get my officers to do: building the network. We have to work together. And many times I say to them, I drop in at the station and they say, "Look, we glad you come. We got a little thing going on here. We know you're the best person that could help." Their own little story, and I used to enjoy that because I'll sit with them. It's a bonding and it's my network support.
Okay.
You see, so more, as I say to the officers, more must be done. If you talk to them, they'd hear that I'll say to them, yes, you just. But as I'm saying, we have high caseloads. The rate of child abuse is high in terms to the number of child protection officers. I'm telling you, when we look at it, we need one for every street, which is really impossible. And in every system, every child protection system the world over is not a foolproof system. Things happen. Children fall through the cracks. But you've got to work towards lessening children fall through the cracks. And to do that, we have to get a collective responsibility. We have to get all the NGOs on board. Every system, the religious organizations, everybody on board, understanding that child protection is not just rest with the agency, the ministry, or the government. It's a national response. It's everybody is responsible for child protection. So we have been working hard to remove the notion that it starts with child care and protection agency. It does. Child protection does not start with the agency. It starts with the family and the community at every level. So we have launched this multimedia awareness child abuse campaign. You would have seen our ads.
Yes.
We are working to get the message out there, people to understand the plight of a child that suffers abuse. We want to propel persons into action. You know, and I hate for people to tell me, but I call, and what more you want me to do? That's
keep
not,
calling.
you keep calling. You would keep calling until you get action. You have to get action for a child. So it's more could be done, but Malika, you know, out of evil cometh good. It's a wake-up call.
It is.
And
it's
out for the
strange.
other community. Don't let him die in vain. This is a wake-up call. There's more out there. There are more things happening in communities. They're turning a blind eye. They're hearing things next door and they're locking, they're hearing screaming, even with domestic violence. Things happening next door.
I'm happy
and you
that you
bolt
talked
up
about
here,
that.
closer.
Because one of the problems too, and again, I was discussing this earlier with a colleague. I am not saying that this is right, but Director Greene, we have gone into a mode to, if I am hearing my neighbor and it screams and they're fighting, there will be, I'm not saying it is okay, but I will be fearful to go on, because we've read stories of people trying to intervene and trying to save a victim, and they become the victim.
But this I say, there's strength in numbers. One person can't do anything. But if a drove of persons come, when the child was found, when I look at that drove of people that come there, a drove of person coming to this house here, we hearing something and we calling out to know. You see? So it's a community response. One person, you could be a little fearful, and I'm not going to tell you to go run it. These days here, so and people got guns and so, but yes, collectively we could. And we got to identify these persons. And that's the whole thing. It's not keeping it covered down, doing this. No, they must be identified, and people can get to. It's not being minding people business when you're looking out for children. It's not. You know, we have to get back to those days.
Village raising the child.
Yes, you got to be. I'm telling you, you got to be nosy when it comes to a child. It's not minding people business. It's you being conscious, it's you being aware, and you being part of this whole program and and you're working towards safeguarding children. So if you see something ain't look right, you don't have to know what really is it. It ain't look right. Perhaps it is not. It's probably not right. So what could I do? What's the first thing I can do? I can report. Report. Some people say, good, you call again. You call and say, somebody needs to come check this. You stay with it. You never give up. Then you're part of the solution. But all the persons will talk. When something happens and we go in the community, everybody said a no.
They know,
So
yeah,
how
you
you
used to
know
do
and you
this and
didn't
you.
do anything? You know this child was there and this was happening. And I keep the officers would come back and tell me, I said, you know what, everybody who come and say they know the police should say,
Yeah.
take your shoes and go in there. Take your shoes
Exactly.
and go in there. Because you're part of the problem.
Yeah, you've become an accomplice.
You become, because you know. And you didn't do anything. All right, so this is the messages we want to send. You got to, if you see something and you know something, you're
Say
gonna have to
something.
do something, and you can say, you keep. If you go to the police, you let the police know. We come back here every morning. You got to take action. They must take action. Yes. So these are the type of things that community can do. You got to know who live in the people. You know who live in your community. These are some close country communities. You know, everybody know
Everybody
each
knows,
other.
indeed.
You know what is happening.
I want to talk about the numbers because some of the numbers here, 424 child sexual abuse cases were reported for the first
By
half of the year.
yes.
Before we even talk about that, I know you're stretched thin. We had this conversation even before we came on.
Yeah.
Again, I know you're not at the University of Guyana or in terms of an administrative role or so on. Do you believe that we need to probably find a way to train more persons who are qualified in this area? Because when we're dealing with our children, you can't just lose any volunteer on them.
All right.
How, in what position are we to maybe hire more
Right.
officers?
Higher more, I'm saying, here we said the need as much as I said, one for everything.
One for every.
And sometime, I think it was last week or this week, I read a editorial that really attacked and called the child case workers so-called child protection officers. This was really very
Disrespectful.
horrible. In the world over, child protection officers are young, experienced persons.
Okay.
But what they have is standing operation procedures. Where you adhere to standing operation procedures that help. Because the world over, I have trained, I have gone internationally, I have seen the same problems. We really were here with, young, inexperienced officers. But
Okay.
you operate your standing operation procedures, and you know it, you have to know it. We have it. There's certain things that must be done. A child to remove, you must report to the directorate, you do the assessments, and so on. Yes, because of high caseloads, there is the follow-up, the case management. I will admit there's some challenges.
Okay.
All right, with case management, we're looking at it. That's why we're working with at the community level. We're looking for persons at the community to provide more support for families at that level. That if a child is there, that we got the community group, what we call it is going to be community, not just watch groups, really going to be action groups that you're going to help watch out for a child, because we will never be enough. State officers doing this alone will never be enough. The developed countries, they had to work with people at the community level and the NGOs, and this it still ain't get right yet. All right, so we're working towards it. But to say that all the officers are trained officers, to get a job as a child protection officer, you must be a graduate from the university. And I know university is looking at the programs. This year they've introduced masters in social work. And we have 5 officers from child protection is there currently doing that. So we are constantly looking at building capacity. But the whole question with human services is you bring a lot of yourself into it. So some days you come, you never know who you'll get and what is happening. There's some people, yes, should really show a higher level of commitment. But collectively, I think child protection, we have the hardest working theme. And I say to people, and I'll say it on here, you can come, you're likely to come at 7:30 and an officer is on the job. And you could come even on Friday afternoon and we don't finish at 3:30. We work long, hard hours. And so when people who are misinformed, not well aware of what's this whole question of child protection, and you write things and you say things like that, and the social media, I don't have a page. I have a lot of time working with children. I don't do a page. We have a page for child protection, and I will get in there and put some things there, but personally I don't have it. Because some people just on social media just attack. To show their biases, their prejudices, the little incidents that they might have, and so on. People
and they generalize
all the time.
Yeah.
So what I tell the staff to do, keep your focus. Just keep getting better at what you do. don't keep your focus, because just think, if they don't have us, what would have happened to children? There are times the children only got the child protection officer to believe them that they have been abused by persons in the home who they love and trust, who have denounced them, who have called them liars, who would not believe them. And the only person, every child who tell of abuse, we believe them. We believe them until we got reason to believe otherwise. And I have said, I have been doing it 33 years, and I have never had a reason to believe otherwise that a child wasn't abused. I had some situations with women, who might...
adults were different dynamics.
I've never had. If we get a reason to believe the child, no. That percent of a child making up a story is a very small percent. And people got to believe children when they say, look, this person making me uncomfortable, this person touched me. It might be the person, but the mother, it might be the father. And it hurt. A child can hardly lie on a dad. They can't even bring out the words to lie, to say that my dad abused you. Is the most traumatic experience.
Yeah, because even the ones who are actually being abused, sometimes you gotta pry it out of them.
They can't bring it out. We had situations with boys. It's now that they're telling. I know of occasion we interview the boys. The one said to me, "Is the other one the man did it to?" I put him outside and bring the other one in, and he said, "Is he did it or not me?"
Because
they can't tell of it. Or it is something, because it's people who doing it to them is who they love. The irony of this, a child needs to be protected from the family, from your home, from the people who should love you the most.
The most. All right, we're going to talk about some of those figures in a bit. Viewers, if you're now tuning in, you've already missed a whole lot of this conversation, but as usual, you can find it on social media and so on before the end of the day. I am having a conversation with the director of the Child Care and Protection Agency. Our conversation comes in light of the fact that this is Child Protection Week, and we're discussing a number of things, including the fact that, we lost a teen. He was raped and murdered, and most of you know that story by now. Lady Greene, some of the things that came out in the public, coming as quotes from you, is the fact that, and I'm reading an exact quote here, Region 4 has recorded the highest number of reported child sexual abuse cases since it has the largest population, and I think, just to go down a bit, that number is 424 at the beginning.
Sexual abuse cases.
Sexual.
Half that is at May.
As at May.
Yes.
And this is right for this year.
Now, we look again in August, by the end of August, that had moved to 516. In terms, that's the number. When we look at the rate, there's a little mix up today in Chronicle, and I think that, I thought that I have said it, that Essequibo and Hirali, they were the second highest.
Yes.
This is when we
have
looked,
that here.
The second highest, but I saw something in the paper say the first one, as I said. Yeah, it's the second highest, because we moved from May 424 to August 516. And the highest for sexual abuse is Region 10, followed by Region 2. And in the third is Region 7. This is the rate, looking at the population of children, when we look to every 1,000 children. So in Region 2, every 1,000 children, 3 are abused. In Region 10, every 1,000 children, 4 abused.
Have you been able to get statistics? Again, viewers, remember this, we're talking about child abuse, we're talking about children and families and so on, so we'll not, the director will not be able to put all of the information out there to protect possible victims. But have you been able to do an assessment with these cases, the more than 500 and so on? Can you say if they came only from families? I know there are cases where there are foster homes. I'm not saying that it happens in foster homes, but you have families, you have foster homes, you have schools, unfortunately, you have churches. Can you pinpoint and say, well, this happened at home, this happened at school?
Yes, we have what we record the perpetrators. We have that. Anybody could look, we have that. Who are the perpetrators of this? In many cases, particularly coming out of the hinterland region, the perpetrators are not known. The children hardly want to talk who's the perpetrator. It's always be somebody that we can't find.
You can't find.
That has gone into the interior or something. So when we look at perpetrators, there's a number that it's unknown. We don't know the perpetrator. But I'll tell you, most of the perpetrators are related to the children for sexual abuse. It is not the dirty old man at the corner. My grandmother, every day going out, she used to say, watch the dirty old man at the corner. I have never met the dirty old man at the corner. Today, I like to tell her, the dirty old men are in the children's homes. That's where the dirty old men are. They're not at the corner. Stranger abuse in terms of sexually, you see, to get to abuse a child sexually, the child trusts you. It come on that trust. From a stranger, the child might run. But I can come to you because you are related to me. I know you. I'm familiar with you. So that's how you get the opportunity to do it. So it's not strangers.
So
right? It is with the family. Yes, that show. Yeah, it's from the home. It's from the people who related to the child.
And again, this is not to bring harm to any possible victim. Because I know there are cases where there are foster homes.
Yes.
Have you had any cases where it happens in foster homes? And as we're on the note of foster homes, how does your agency monitor those children who are living in foster homes?
Right. I think we had about one case where there was something that wasn't right, and we had to remove that child that's being investigated. But other than that, we have not had. And we have over 169 children in the foster care program, and we monitor them.
This is for the entire country?
Yes, okay. 169 children in the foster care program, and there's the foster care unit, and they're managing it. They're following these children. They have to at least see the children monthly, see the children by themselves, talk to the children, find out what is happening. They have to check the school system, find out if the children are regularly attending school. And the foster care department is a department I'm very pleased of in terms of their work. They are good with their documentation. There's nothing here that I can really fault them at. They're very efficient and up to date in the foster care program. We do pay the foster payments. We give them a cash transfer. So they get a cash transfer of $20,000 a month for a child placed in foster care, and other assistance and help from the department. We really looking at that, because we don't want to take a child from abusive home and put the child, and that child is exposed to further abuse. That we don't want to do. And in fact, we are trying to give children family-based care. We're promoting family-based care. So we don't want children in institutions. We have reduced the number of children in institutions, in state institutions. At one time, we had nearly 300 in state institutions in our care. Now it's down to but 160. We have, and this is due to rebuilding the parents' capacity so that we don't have to remove the child, so that the child is not in need of alternative care. Because we're working at the community level, we have launched the special program for parenting with the ones that we realize at risk, because we're trying to prevent the separation of the children. And when we analyze our program this year, we're satisfied that we're making an impact in there, because we get less numbers in the institution. We also work in a program where we're trying to return children to their families if they can.
If the families meet,
if they meet, yes, and the work has been done and is there, so return them. We're doing it with an NGO, and we even working further now to do something more with the NGO Childlink. We're working with Blossom Inc. right now, doing revisions of all the children who are in institutions, because the whole program that we're looking at next year is deinstitutionalization of children. But we have to work with the families. It's the families that put children at risk. And there's some factors in families that create vulnerability for children. One, domestic violence, substance abuse, parents' mental health issues,